Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Time Pass for the New Indian Express. I have with me, by very popular demand, Luke Coutinho. Is that the way to pronounce it, Luke, your surname?
Ye- That's right. That's right.
Oh, well done. So he's possibly the best known holistic lifestyle coach that India has. People go to him for all sorts of advice. I'm sure he's quite exhausted with the list of requests that he gets, but he's very good humored about it. And he's also led a thoroughly interesting life, which I think has got him to where he is currently. He's a graduate of IHM. He's been a DJ. He's worked with IBM. He's written books. He's advised some of the best known names there are. So, welcome, Luke, and thank you so much. We know how much an hour of your time costs, so we're really grateful to have you here.
Thank you.
I'd like to start, of course, with the lockdown and the kind of impact that you've seen among your clients and among people around you, and what really is the solution.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me. So I've seen two kinds of impacts basically that the lockdown has had. Okay,
Right,
one is people with the right mindset are really utilizing this time to look after their health, to
right,
learn new skills, to read books, plan different businesses because most businesses right now can't function the right way. So there's a whole lot of people who are doing that, spending a lot more time with family, re-introspecting into their lives.
right,
And then there's a whole lot of people who are just looking at it so negatively, like they're just waiting for lockdown to end and they're dependent on it ending for their lives to improve in some way. So you see
right.
the same kind of people, same problem, but two completely different mindsets.
Yeah,
So there are two different behaviors that we're seeing over here. Now, the future, none of us know. None of us know what we have in the future. Even if there's no lockdown, we're not in control of the future. We think we are, but
yeah,
we're not in control. So the best thing that people can do at this point is be patient. Okay,
yeah.
if we focus on the negative, our life is going to spiral into negativity. We
Right.
know there is a problem, but it should motivate us to actually start looking at what we already have in our life and what we can do going forward, because everyone's been dealt the same hand.
Yeah.
Everyone. No matter who you are, where you are, what our designations are, where we live, we all have been dealt the same hand. So I think the attitude and mindset plays a major role in how people are going to come out of this lockdown.
Right. And Luke, I cannot help but ask about Sushant Singh Rajput, though it's not directly related to what we're discussing, but in a way it is, because here you have someone who's clearly at the peak of his physical fitness, mentally quite strong as well. Not that he was not knowledgeable, but at some point, some fragility enters your life. And whether it's a snap decision or a well thought out decision, something like this happens and it really shakes the world, doesn't it? Apart from it being a terrible tragedy of a young life wasted.
Absolutely. It is a terrible tragedy. My heart goes out to his family, his fans, everyone. It is sad. The human mind is it's a very delicate thing. It can destroy us, it can
Yeah,
create us, it can build, it can go any way. But I think the call out message is, there are hundreds and thousands of not just young adults, but even children who are stuck into depression and it takes away their lives. The amount of suicides are huge.
right.
We got media to show us a few cases where it's really real, but the story is beyond that. There
Yeah,
are young students in the 9th standard and 10th standard who commit suicide because they don't know the marks that they're going to get. It's a
exactly.
real problem, and there's no one really to blame over here. What we have to look at is the world that we've created for ourselves. Human beings have challenged the laws of nature. The same mind, the same brain, the same body thinks it can consume more and more and more and more. And what we're living in right now, most of us, is just a trap of a virtual world,
Right.
which promises us everything, but yet people are so empty.
Yeah,
So I always give people the example of look around at our times, compare it with our parents and our grandparents. We have
yeah,
so much more
yeah,
technology, comforts, money, wealth, food, restaurants, entertainment, everything. But we're way unhappier, way more depressed, way more sadder than that. It only shows us one thing, that simplicity is the way forward. We can have abundance, we can have wealth, we can have fame.
Right.
But our fundamental is simplicity. And if we lose that, the world controls us. We become puppets to society and everything else.
Yeah. And you must have seen this world quite closely because, in a way, although you're not part of it, a lot of them come to you for advice and they seek your help. So, is it really as tough as people are making it out to be, or is it like any other industry, the entertainment industry, where you have to be mentally tough, physically able as well?
See, it doesn't matter, I mean, it is a tough industry, there's no doubt. Just imagine, put ourselves in the shoes of someone who has millions and millions of fans, and those same fans love you one day and they don't like you when your movie or your
Yeah,
song goes for a flop. But we've become attached, our self-worth is attached to the opinions of the world.
yeah,
So we'll have ups and downs according to how people like us. So it is a difficult industry, and you can be strong mentally and physically, but it is so difficult when you have people out there trolling you and hating you one day and loving you the next day, and you don't know how to be anymore. Your every action is, am I going to be liked or am
right,
I going to be disliked? It's a
right,
tough world, in the
right.
film industry, everywhere, even in normal life. Take a corporate career, for
Yeah,
example. Most people today, if they don't have love in their own selves and their families and real relationships, you start seeking validation from the world. And
yes.
that's the worst place to seek it from, because one day you'll have it, you'll be happy. The next day you don't have it, that means you'll be sad. That's where you're in an emotional roller coaster, because
Right.
our self-worth is attached to everything but ourselves. And
Exactly.
it's a tough industry, there's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
But Luke, I mean, you advise moderation in everything. You talk about quality sleep, you talk about balanced nutrition, adequate exercise, emotional detox. These are the four pillars of your thought. If I'm right, if I'm correct,
That's right.
which
Mm-hmm.
is really all about moderation, which really is all about our ancient and traditional way of life. The whole concept of yoga was really the balance of mind, body, soul, which in a way
Correct.
is the same thing. Yet we seem to have lost it somewhere. How do you advise people who come to you and say, help us, Luke? We're desperate.
So it's very simple. Even before anyone signs up with us, we made it clear to them that the fundamentals of what we do and what will lead them to success is, we need their participation
Yeah,
in understanding and abiding by the fundamentals. That we will look at nutrition that suits you. We will look
right.
at activity that suits you. Your sleep has to change, otherwise nothing's going to work for you. And we have to come to terms somewhere with your emotional health.
Yeah,
If we're able to set the fundamentals right, we don't have a magic drug that heals people. All
yeah,
of our cancer patients in remission, we don't have a drug, we don't have a magic food. They've
right.
changed their lifestyles, they've harnessed the own intelligence of their immune system, and that is what has healed them. I don't heal anyone, my team doesn't heal anyone. We enable them to harness the own energy of their bodies, which is their immune system. So those are the fundamentals, and if people can align themselves to that, recovery, prevention, everything becomes way easier. And of course, there's destiny, which is not within our control. But
Yeah.
over and above destiny, everything else is within our control. Our bodies are built to fight the most severe viruses and diseases, but we've not enabled it, or we've abused it that it cannot enable itself.
So, when people come to you during this virus in particular, because suddenly now people have realized immunity is the best drug, prevention is the best cure, which is something that we knew all along but forgot it
Right.
somewhere along the way. So, when people come to you and say, Doc, I'm sure they call you Doc, whether you are not, but they come to you and
Yeah.
say, help me build my immunity. So, what would you advise a person? I'll give you a couple of examples. Someone who comes to you
Sure.
saying, I want to build my immunity. I have 3 months. Okay. Another comes to you and says, I want to lose, say, 20 kilos. I have 3 months or 6 months. And someone who says, I can't sleep, which is a lot of people,
Right.
insomnia, I think, is a really general condition. So suppose you have three different cases. What would you advise them? I know this is possibly, what you do for a fee, but
No, no,
I
that's fine.
yeah,
That's absolutely fine. I talk about this free on social media. I'm not.
absolutely.
I don't hide any information at all. It's
I
me
think you're
sharing
very
information
generous.
that has
Yeah.
built my whole business.
Yeah.
Because you know what people pay us for? Motivation.
Right.
Everyone knows what they should do. They just don't do it.
They just don't do it.
All the information is on the internet. We've put
Yeah.
everything out there, but
Right.
most people don't do it. And some people genuinely need help because of the complication of the problem. So
Right.
very simple. Someone who has a problem sleeping,
Yeah.
first, they should be willing to change their lifestyle. Most people can't sleep because they've abused the circadian rhythm. They sleep at different timings every day. The body
Right.
has a clock. If you don't follow the clock, it's not going to support you. Then
Yeah.
if they're willing to eat their dinners a little bit earlier, if they're willing to have some amount of physical activity, so the body goes through some amount of fatigue. So then
Right.
it gets tired and it falls asleep. Then some changes in their diets. A lot of people who eat sugar just before bedtime, sugar breaks down into energy. How will you sleep?
Yeah.
So it's really minor lifestyle changes. Some people are on heavy medications and they go through severe stress. And because their mind can't stop thinking, they
Right.
can't sleep. So then we put them through meditation. We put them through, sometimes if it's very deeply rooted and they need counseling, we put them onto professional counselors. Because if you don't attack the root cause of the problem, you're never going to get better.
Yeah.
There's always a pill to take care as a shortcut of what the
Right.
root cause is, which has
Right.
its own side effects. That's number one. Someone wants to lose weight in 3 months. We tell them you can start losing weight in a week, but are you willing to do what it takes?
Right.
Baby steps. Okay. First, your nutrition, not what the world is doing. What will suit you? Are you overeating? Are you chewing your food the right way? Are you eating at different timings every day? Okay. What kind of food are you eating? Are you imitating some fad diet out there which doesn't even suit you, that's crippling your metabolism? So we break down nutrition, then we put them through activity. It could be as simple as yoga and walking. Most of our patients lose weight with just a combination of yoga and walking. Of course, you
Right.
want a gym. They're not bad things, but we want you to do the basics. Create blood circulation. Sleep. I tell them upfront, if you're not willing to improve your sleep, you will not lose your weight. It's not about food. It's not about exercise. It's about your sleep, number one. So once they're in agreement to lose sleep, we put them through the normal protocol of sleep hygiene. And then there's emotional wellness, because the science is simple. If your stress levels are chronically high, you have high cortisol. When you have high cortisol, your body stores fat. Simple. So we explain. Our programs are very educative. We don't just give someone a diet plan. They don't work. We teach them. We teach them to understand themselves. So when we show them that, hey, you got a week, right, of sleeping well, doing your meditation, and guess what? You lost weight, you lost fat. And then they're motivated. They say, wow, I did this and it worked for me. And then they do it, and we handhold them until it becomes a lifestyle. So it's really simple. And you spoke about immunity. So immunity is very simple. Instead of adding foods that boost immunity, we first take care of the things that they're doing that dampens immunity. So number one, sleep deprivation. You can be the healthiest person, eating organic food, exercising every day, but if you're not sleeping sufficient, your immune system is going to crash.
Right.
Number two is stress. The more stressed you are, the lower your immunity. That's why doctors tell you don't be stressed or you will fall sick. It's because your immune system falls. Number three, food is very simple. We don't have to do any superfoods, anything complex, as long as you're having your fruits, your vegetables, your nuts, your seeds, your dals, your whole grains. More important than that is sugar. The more sugar you have, your immune system starts falling. So you see, it's really simple things. Immunity is not complicated. It's complicated when people come with cancers and different diseases. Then you got to really balance it and get really right down to vitamins and minerals and deficiencies. But for most people, by just correcting their lifestyle, they start to boost their immune system. So it's really that simple.
I read somewhere that you are a great believer in khichdi, which is, I think, terrific. Talk a little about really the basic things that we used to eat as children, and we forgot that along the way somewhere, and got addicted to a certain different kind of food. But if we really go back to what our mothers cooked for us, we'll be fine.
Absolutely. And it's the media that has made us believe, because today, if I need to sell you a protein, how am I going to sell you a protein? I'm going to show you a really nice physique or a nice size zero figure, in a gym with a jar of protein. So your mind will connect great body, workout, and protein. So now your neural pathways build up an image in your mind showing you that protein is required for this great body. A couple of years ago, if, people ask me, do I have regrets in life? I don't have any regrets in life, no matter the ups, downs, negatives, but I have one regret: not taking a picture of this particular farmer. Okay. So I was in Goa. Okay. My parents live here. It was about 6 years ago. And I was walking in the fields behind our house, and I saw this farmer, and he was just wearing pants. He was bare chested. And what attracted to me from far away was his body. He had this six pack. He was ripped. No Photoshop, no airbrush. I'm looking at a live thing. I walked over to him. I didn't have my phone to click a picture of him, because he would have been the cover of my book. to show
Right.
people simplicity. And
Right.
I started talking to him in broken Hindi and stuff, asking him what he eats. His job is in his field. He
Yeah.
digs trenches, he digs. That's his only exercise.
Right.
He eats khichdi for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it.
Yeah.
No protein shakes, no superfoods, nothing. And I was like, look at this. So he has a lot of activity, intensive
Right.
activity, but he's eating khichdi, which itself is a complete protein. And from that day, I realized how social media and magazines confuse us in thinking that we need complication for a great body. And I always use this example of farmers, even the women. Look at the women who
Yeah.
carry, water from the well, not an ounce of fat
Amazing.
in their bodies.
Absolutely.
Postures are great, slender
Absolutely
bodies.
straight.
Yeah. So that's the truth right there. And that's what I'm trying to share with the world that, these foods don't make us fat. Now, if you start eating khichdi and you're sedentary,
Yeah.
obviously you're going to put on weight. So it's all of it. Everything is balanced. We can't demonize, people will say, oh, khichdi is high carb. Yeah, it is a carb. But if you're working out, which you're supposed to do, you're going to utilize that energy that the carb breaks down into. But it's still a wholesome, great food.
Right. Luke, you're a great supporter of the farmers, and which is very key right now because, when we talk about our farmers in distress, part of the problem is that we have tended to ignore their produce. So, we've tended to sort of disregard their contribution. But you're a great believer in the Indian farmer and not just his way of life, but his produce. Talk a little about how the wellness market can harness the Indian farmer's strengths and really take this whole idea of Atmanirbharta and Made in India that we hear about, take it to
Right.
the next level.
Okay, great. So for me in integrative medicine, we use food as medicine. So for
Yeah,
me, the most important people are the farmers, not the pharmaceuticals. They're
exactly.
great.
Yeah,
But for me, I need food. I need proper food if I'm going to heal people. I can't use sprayed vegetables and sprayed fruits. And
right,
the farmers, they are the people who provide us what we eat every single day. It's entirely not our fault, like you said. It is the fault of the middleman. The
right,
middleman has come and ruined the farmers. They take their produce, it reaches us. But when someone starts spraying and finding cheap ways to give us synthetic and hybrid foods which are cheaper, the middlemen ignore the farmers, so we don't get their produce. I
right.
think most of us would love to consume food straight from the farmers if
Oh,
we
yeah,
had the channels to reach us. And
right,
that's what we're doing. We are working to set up a sustainable food chain. We want the middleman out. There has to always be a middleman to facilitate logistics, but we want middlemen who are here with a vision to support the farmers and also make their livelihood. But the farmers have to grow. They
right,
have to get wealthier and wealthier so that they're motivated to grow more and more. When I was in Punjab, I spoke to a lot of farmers and they said, Luke, we don't have money to feed our own families because no one's taking our food, because there's someone who's growing crops which are hybrid and synthetic and selling
right.
it cheaper than us. So the
Yeah,
middleman wants to make his buck. So I think it's a joint effort of everyone, and we're trying to create a platform where we are connecting farmers. In fact, the farmers are involved in this. Right now, I'm backed by a couple of hundreds of farmers who are telling us, Luke, this is the platform we need. If we have this platform where we can upload our own produce and people can buy it directly from us. And we're currently working on that platform. We have a lot of people who are aligned to this. So if a farmer tomorrow in Punjab can wake up, he has an app and back end, he can upload his own produce and someone can directly buy it. That's how the farmers are going to grow. So we've involved the farmers in this process. We've asked them, tell us what you want. And we will build that into a multilingual, whatever it is. But the middleman should now become the app. So the
right.
money comes directly, it goes from the farmer to the consumer, consumer to the farmer. And it is possible. It is possible. The world is changing. People don't mind spending a little more money to get real food because the high synthetic food is making us sick. So you either spend that money on poor food and hospital bills, or you start eating the right way and hopefully reduce your hospital expenses.
I think soon you'll be called Sardar Luke Coutinho Singh.
I just want to be Luke. That's all.
You'll be an honorary Sikh in Punjab. I think they'd be very grateful for help such as this. Also, cropping patterns, what they grow, all that has really undergone a huge change because of the market. Do you have to
Absolutely.
change some of that? Do you have to work with them to do that?
Yeah, we have to change our consumerism, how
Right.
we consume. Like, today people want crops that don't grow in the season to be provided throughout.
Yeah,
People have to just learn to eat as per the season and
exactly.
locally. There's
Yeah.
so much of variety, but most people are spoiled for variety. They want it. So
Yeah.
there's always someone to give the consumers what they
Yeah.
want and make money out of it. There's nothing wrong in that. So consumerism has to change. And believe me, most of our health problems can be reduced if we start eating what grows as per the season. It is beautiful. Those are the right foods to maintain our body temperature, our immune system. It's just beautiful if we follow the cycle of nature. But that's where consumers are spoiled, because we believe we're entitled to variety. We're entitled to everything throughout the year. So there's a market that comes us and supports us and puts the farmers completely on the back burner. So I think as we educate people to change consumerism and habits, this is going to change as well.
So, what is it that you would tell people to eat in summers, in monsoon, and in winters? Basic food groups like vegetables and fruit.
So it's simple. Like right now, let me talk about Maharashtra, Goa, this area, right?
Yeah.
Cucumbers are growing,
Right.
cauliflower,
Right.
cabbage, a few legumes, spinach is coming out,
Right.
beetroots, carrots, cucumbers, lemons, onions, potatoes, the normal stuff. The
Right.
mango season has ended. The
Right.
mangoes grew in summer because it's a cooling fruit. It's
Yeah.
rich in vitamin C to prepare our immunity for the monsoons. Now in winter, we'll have a different set of crops that come
Right.
up. Our more pulses will come in. Jaggery will start happening because that's a warming food. So
Yeah.
you see, we're now working with farmers to publish what grows locally. So that becomes our go-to list. So in fact, that's a good idea. I'll share it today. Our farmers just got back to us with a list with what is growing locally right now. And believe me, there is so much to choose from.
Right.
So much to choose from. And if we just eat that, we're supporting our farmers and we're getting healthier. So we're
Right.
going to be publishing these lists every season that this is what grows locally. So suddenly
Absolutely.
someone comes and says, hey, I have strawberries to sell. You'll
Yeah.
know that, hey, this doesn't grow. It's hybrid. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be eating this right now. So we're going to be educating people like that, on what grows locally and what grows seasonally.
So, what are the fruits that one should be eating right now?
So right
Watermelon.
now, yeah, watermelon is happening. Watermelon is happening. Pomegranates are happening.
Right.
Pomegranates will happen. All the citrus fruits. Look at the beauty of that. Citrus fruits are rich in vitamin C. During
Right.
the monsoons, we need more immunity. So
Yeah.
now we'll see oranges start to happen, and all of these fruits will come in right now locally. Pineapples as well. So local fruits is the way to go.
Right. So, whenever you go to your vegetable or fruit seller, just make sure that you say what is grown here. Where did you get it from? So,
Absolutely.
if it's from too far off a place, the carbon footprint, as we call it, then make sure that you don't buy it.
Yeah, we shouldn't support
Loosely.
it completely. But like,
Yeah.
for example, I know kiwis don't grow in our country.
Right.
Kiwis don't grow in our country. But for
Avocados, for instance,
no, avocados now grow. They
they
actually
do.
grow. They
Okay.
grow in China in the south. So yes, that's a great crop. But then we should
Okay.
buy avocados that grow in India. We're
Right.
waiting for avocados to come from Mexico and different places and stuff like that.
Right.
They're treated for sure.
Yeah.
I was giving you an example of kiwis. Now,
Yeah.
kiwis are not local to us, but I wouldn't shun it for certain patients, where they have a DNA problem, like cancers, patients going
Right.
through radiation. Kiwis are known to have a DNA repairing ability. So I would
Oh,
use it for them. So,
right.
it's nice to have a mixed market, but primarily I wouldn't want 90% of my diet to be local. And if I need to use something specifically, it can play a role, but we should
Right.
still try to live locally.
Luke, let's talk a little about vegetarianism, a big issue, especially during this pandemic. There was suddenly the scare, let's just cut out all the, meats from our diet because, this is what it gets you, a pandemic. So let's talk a little about that. What is your take on going vegetarian?
See, I always look at data. Today, when I look at the data of all my cancer patients, because, we categorize that as a deadly disease to everyone who's diabetic, I
Right.
still have data. I still need data to show me whether vegetarians are healthier than non-vegetarians,
Right.
vegans are healthier. We have no such data. I have sick vegans, I have sick vegetarians, and I have sick non-vegetarians.
Oh, God.
It is not about that. Of course, sometimes like a bypass patient or a patient with a blockage, I would want him to get onto a plant-based diet to reduce inflammation.
Right.
I would want certain cancer patients to consume organ meat because it helps them with their immune system. It's very different. It's from person to person. So there are too many extremes in our world right now, people
Yeah.
fighting that vegetarian. Show us the data. I have some of the unhealthiest people being vegans.
Yeah.
They are so deficient in that. Doesn't mean veganism is wrong. They are
Right.
so deficient. They've done it the wrong way. They've
Right.
not supplemented their diets the right way. And you would expect vegans to be like young and radiant and glowing, but most of them are old and haggard and, all of that stuff. So my point is not to bring that down. I could say the same thing for non-vegetarians as
Right.
well. It
Right.
comes down to your lifestyle, how you absorb food, what is right for you. If you grew up eating animal protein, it's part of your genes now.
Yeah.
You can still become vegetarian, but you need to transition very, very slowly. So I always say with intention. If you're becoming a vegan because all your friends are becoming a vegan, you don't have any logic or science to why you're doing it, don't do it. Live with intention. If you want to become a vegan because animal slaughter or you feel it's going to be healthy or it makes you feel light, do it. You want to be vegetarian because of, don't be a puppet. Don't be
Yeah.
controlled because everyone's doing it. I should start doing it. It doesn't work. I have so many vegans who on the sly, they will drink milk and things because then they'll say, oh, Luke, but I'm losing muscle mass. Then don't do it. Who asked you to do it? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Like I said, there is still data to show us or make a claim which one is healthier. It all comes down to your lifestyle and your attitude and
Yeah.
your mindset. I have meat eaters who have eaten meat all their life and they have better medical reports than some of the Jains out there who don't touch
Right.
anything.
Right.
Not to say that it's derogatory in
Yeah.
any
Of
way. I'm
course.
just trying to show you, the whole people are living in extremes and they need to stop doing that. People should have a mind of their own. Eat it. Your body will tell you, do you feel good? If I eat vegetarian food and it makes me feel great, I'm going to eat more of it.
Yeah.
So listen to your body, follow that
Right.
part.
But sometimes listening to your body can be a little dangerous because your body can just crave comfort food. And
That's
then
if you're listening to your emotions. There's a big difference.
oh,
There's
okay.
emotional hunger and physical hunger. So
Right.
you have to be very careful which one you're listening to. If
So
it's
how do
emotional
you,
hunger,
yeah,
it's a problem.
how do you distinguish?
It's very simple. Like if I suddenly start craving like cupcakes and chocolates today, I may eat it. I may give into it because it's a one-off craving. But I
Right.
also want to reflect on what have I gone through today?
Right.
Did I have any, anger? Did I feel low? Or did I go through some bad meetings or did some of my patients die? And I'm feeling emotional and I want to lift. So I'm craving sugar. I want to
Right.
be aware. Or I might just be big deal. It's raining outside. It's the perfect weather for a hot chocolate and a cupcake. I'm just going to do it
Right.
so that's when you listen to your body. But when I'm mindlessly living
Yeah.
coffee after coffee, cupcake after cupcake, I'm not in control of my life. That's when it becomes a problem. That's when your emotional hunger and your emotional voids are controlling you and dictating your behavior. We got to be
Look,
careful of that.
yeah, look, there's also so much talk about sleep, and we've almost become competitive about sleep. Oh, I sleep 2 hours, I sleep 3 hours, and I get so much more out of my day. Uh, uh, it's become almost unhealthy, this obsession with sleeping less and doing more. How do you get out of that, and how do you convince people? We all know that we need to sleep at least 7 to 8 hours, but how do you convince people to do that? We all
So
know we
yeah.
need to shut screens at least an hour before, all that, but what do you do? What do you tell people?
See, unhealthy obsessions come from an unhealthy mindset and attitude.
Right.
There are a lot of people who think, because there are a lot of fake stories on social media where entrepreneurs have tried to show that their successes because they work so hard and they
Exactly.
didn't sleep. All of that is
Yeah.
bullcrap. I know billionaires who have 5 hour working days and they're billionaires.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they make their success stories built on lies. And that's a very wrong message to youth and people around us. So a lot of youth think that, oh, I should have 18-hour days in order to be successful. No, you got to be smart to be successful. You don't have to ruin your health. So my point when it comes to sleep, okay, people need to understand, and it's not 7 to 8 hours. It is the quality of sleep. So some
Right.
people can sleep for 5 hours, deep quality, wake up fresh.
Hmm.
That sleep was good enough for them. Some people
Right.
sleep for 9 hours and still wake up tired because they
Right.
didn't have a good quality of sleep. So the point is the quality of sleep. And, like I said, if we follow the cycles of nature, which means we have clocks in us. If we
Right.
listen to these clocks, which means go to sleep at the same time every day, at least
Every
5 out of 7 days, keep your weekend, do what you want. There's a clock. Your body has to work with a clock. The simple
right.
example I give people is tomorrow, if you wake up and I take away your watch, your phone, your clocks, everything, you can't see time. Your entire day is going to be chaotic. Now, just imagine that same thing happening in the body. If your clocks are not working, every function in your body is in chaos, right?
Yeah.
From digestion to breathing to every single thing. So people have to understand that now the definition of success is wrong. Success means accumulation of wealth, fame, whatever it is, but without losing your health.
Yeah.
Anyone can sacrifice their health to build wealth. Anyone can do that. I could be the person getting promoted because my boss sees me in office 18 hours. I do all his
Yeah.
work. I suck
Yeah.
up to him, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, I have high blood pressure, diabetes, and half the money I'm earning is spent on my medical bills. The
Right.
definition of success is whatever you achieve without the compromise of your health. And at the end of the day, you should be able to say, I feel good. I feel happy. I feel happy. There are so many people with massive bank balances. They say, I'm empty. I don't know how to be happy. I have everything in the world. And this is emptiness. This is not fulfillment. So when it comes to sleep, everyone needs to understand it is a fundamental of human health. You
Right.
cannot compromise it, period, no matter who did what. And there is, I always convince people with one piece of research by Dr. Matt Walker, who heads human sciences at the Berkeley University. He wrote a book called Why We Sleep. And he did his experiments not on rats and mice, but on human beings.
Right.
And there's one statement there which says sleep deprivation for even 1 to 2 to 3 nights can demolish your immune system by 60 to 70%.
God.
That alone has to motivate people that, listen, your immune system is demolished if you're sleep deprived. So you better get your sleep in place. No amount of garlic, broccoli, superfoods is going to help you if you don't get your sleep in place. So I think people need to grow up and understand that, success is not dependent on doing more. Most of my billionaire clients, the successful people who have their health in place, they have very well organized days. They plan their days. Today, we have 24 hours. And always remember, you, me, a billionaire, a millionaire, someone, who's earning a couple of lakhs, all of us have 24 hours given to us. How is it that all of us utilize it differently?
Right.
But we all have 24 hours to make it successful. It's planning and organizing. Half the people out there who compromise sleep waste their time in a day. Unnecessary scrolling on social media, unnecessary meetings, unnecessary, conversations, unnecessary screen time. But when you balance it, I have 24 hours in a day. I need 8 hours. I know I need 8 hours. So I have 16 hours. I plan my days according to 16 hours, not 8, not 24 hours, because 8 hours is for sleep. In 16 hours, I believe I can be 100% or 500% successful because I organize my time. So when you started off, you said, Luke, your 1 hour, we know how expensive it is. It's not me who's expensive. It's my time.
Right.
It's my time that's expensive because I value every second and minute of the day because I have only 16 hours to do everything that I need to do. So it always comes down to planning and organizing.
So do you plan your day in hour units or half-hour units? How do you do that?
It depends because I give a patient anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes.
Right.
So based on that, how many patients I have, it'll either be 5 hours or 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours. Then if I have very less time to spend with my daughter, I decide on the quality because I can give her 15 minutes of quality time and she's happy, or I can give her 2 hours and we can just mindlessly play and all of that stuff and she's not happy. So it really depends on the quality time that you give. So for me, it's everything is time. Time is not money. It is money, but it is also life. Because that is the one commodity that we're never going to get back. So who I give my time to is, people may call me egoistic, but it is everything. Whoever's going to get my time, it's got to be, it has to be useful and fruitful for me and for them.
Right. So we talked a lot about sleep. We talked a lot about diet. Let's talk a little about exercise. Move more is your mantra. And I think it's really key. What is the kind of exercise that you advise people, largely speaking? I mean, we know that there'll be differences, but what is the basic exercise that everyone ought to do?
Movement. I don't even call it exercise. I call it movement. Walking.
Movement.
When I look at data of about 10,000 plus people over a couple of years, and we look at the most successful weight loss, immunity, it comes down to walking being one of the best exercises. The next was walking coupled with yoga. And of course, there's gyms, dancing, running. See, whatever suits you. Like I said, movement. If you are sedentary, it's a big problem. So whether you dance, whether you walk up and down, you get 10,000 steps, as long as there's movement and your heart is able to beat, at a higher pace than its normal pace, that is more than enough. But when I advise people on exercise, do something that you love, that you can keep doing. Don't get into some fancy program where you're motivated for a week and then you stop doing it.
Exactly. That's a big problem. And it happens a lot. They just fall, they just get off the program, right?
That's because they don't have a mind of their own. They're just imitating someone else or looking at someone's life and trying to copy them. When you have a mind of your own, Your body will tell you, I enjoy a little bit of dance. So let me do dance on Monday. Let me do yoga on Tuesday. Let me do a 1 hour walk on Wednesday.
Right.
And you build it beautifully into a system that you enjoy doing. So there's consistency and discipline.
And let's talk a lot about emotional detox, which I think is so important.
Right. Absolutely.
Just exercising our minds in the right way. How do you do that? Because uh, as we saw in the case of Shashant, you can have a brilliant mind and yet you can fall prey to all sorts of, shadows and, all sorts of anxieties. How do
Right.
you do that?
So emotional detox starts inside. See,
Yeah,
all of us, we have a heart center. Our
right.
heart, okay, when we really go back to our younger days, a lot of us follow our heart.
Yeah,
We don't really follow our mind. We do
right.
what we feel like,
Yeah,
okay? Honestly, we have to couple that with logic and, everything
yeah,
else, analyzing. But our heart is our heart center. It controls every single emotion in our life. If we're not connected to our heart, that means we are connected outwards.
hmm,
We should be connected inwards, but we're connected outwards. Now,
right.
all of us in some way are connected outwards, but if we're only connected outwards, we are controlled by everything that happens outside. So someone comes and says, hey, you're ugly, or,
Yeah,
you've put on weight, you don't look good.
yeah,
You're connected outwards. That
yeah,
person is what he said, he or she, the words are going to destroy you because
yeah,
you are not grounded inside. But if you're grounded inside, you'll feel hurt. You'll go through the emotions. We're human. But then you'll be like, who the hell is that person anyway?
yeah,
This is me. I'm happy the way I am.
yeah,
I'm happy. You reintrospect. You're connected. But if you're disconnected, then you are controlled by every emotion out there. That is why we tell people stay connected. It doesn't have to be meditation, although meditation is a beautiful tool to connect within. It could also be being, you live your life, you know yourself, you know
yeah,
what you really are, who you are.
right.
You're not wearing mask after mask. Today in society, I'll wear this mask. Tomorrow in front of my girlfriend, I'll wear this mask. In front of
Right.
my parents. You get so confused amongst the masks that you're wearing at some point that you
Yeah,
don't even know who you are. Most
yeah,
people who feel empty at some point in their life, they feel empty because finally the outside stimulation can no longer stimulate you. And
yeah,
you have to look within, but within there's nothing because you've never been connected. So
yeah,
you see, emotional detox it's a simple process. It means that we need to be aware of who we are, the negative and the positive. Like when I look down deep, I know I can't have an anger issue. I could be a very short-tempered person. I'm not ashamed of it, but I'm aware of an emotion that I need to work with. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem today with emotions are everyone's trying to be good. Everyone's trying to be this perfect image all the time. But no human being should ever forget that they're all born with the seven deadly sins. There
yeah,
is lust, jealousy, anger, greed, sloth, all of them in you. It's in you. So don't try to hide it. Sometimes you want to be naughty. Sometimes you want to think naughty thoughts. Give into it, but you got to tame it. You can't let that naughty thought become a lustful thought, which becomes rape or something inappropriate. You can't
right.
let anger become rage and become murder. You have to be it, but you got to also accept that we are built with these imperfections or perfections because a lot of people channel those imperfections into excellence. So I think, the world, you got to look beyond what the world is telling everyone. Everyone's trying to be this perfect, good person. You can look at how, the adult generation kills imagination in children today. They're
Yeah,
trying to make them adults when they're 5 and 6 and 7, rob them of their imagination. All
right.
you're doing is creating a shallow replica of yourself.
Yeah,
So my whole point is emotions start from within and we need to be in control. If someone else has got that control of our emotions, okay, we are doomed. Then in flash seconds, we will make decisions because we can't cope with it.
right.
We just cannot cope with it. Of course, there are cases where people have chemical imbalances of
Yeah,
their serotonin and
yeah,
dopamine and, schizophrenia and bipolar, which you need medical treatment. You need medication and you must take assistance. But I have to tell people up front today, okay, because I deal with a lot of patients who are going through depression, children, adults, everyone, and stuff like that. If you are not willing to change your environment inside and outside, no one can help you. No
absolutely.
one can help you. You got to step out of the dark into the light if you want brightness. You can't be in the dark and expect your life to get brighter. So the change starts from within. Take help. Take help. But I always tell people the virtual world is where you will find hypocrisy. And if you are attached to the virtual world, you are going to have a shallow, empty, sad, and depressed life because that world is not real. The real world is what is around you, within you,
Yeah,
right around you, which you can touch, you can feel, you can see, you can engage with. But too many people have attached themselves to the virtual world, and that is why we have so much of mental disease today and emotional problems.
What are the three mantras of staying stress free and being mentally balanced, being mentally well?
So number one, we have to understand that fear and anxiety and negative emotions are wasted emotions. They can't
Right,
change anything in our life. They don't bring us anything. So feel it, but move quickly away from it into something that you can do.
right.
Action. Use gratitude, because when we practice gratitude, it is impossible for you to stay negative. Because when we stay negative, we spiral deeper into it. But when I can have 5 negative problems today, but I keep focusing on the things that are going well in my life. So I automatically shift from negative to positive. I focus on counting my blessings and gratitude. So that's number two. Gratitude. Number one is, if you give more attention to the negative, it's only going to grow. You give more attention to the positive, it's going to grow. Where you put your focus and attention,
Right.
it grows. The number third is your grounding. Have a grounding practice. It could be prayer for some people, spirituality for others, meditation, sitting in silence, but you have to have something that connects you with you. Very, very important. These are the three things.
Every single day, and do it as a habit.
You brush your teeth every day, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We got to
Right.
make it a habit. We got to do these things every single day. We can't decide to be grounded one day and then take a break for 5 days and then come back to be grounded the next day.
Luke, talk a little about your own journey to where you are now. I mean, did you make mistakes? Did you learn from your mistakes? How did you get to where you are? Because you
Mm-hmm.
obviously have worked on yourself to be able to work on others as well. So, how did you crack it?
So absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I have zero regrets except
Right?
taking that picture of that amazing body, which I've never ever seen in any gym across the world. Yeah, I've made mistakes and I continue to make mistakes. Some mistakes I still make over again. And life keeps throwing that to me, I guess, until I learn from that mistake. That's the
Like
beauty of
what?
life.
Like
Like
what?
whatever it is, like sometimes, like a simple example, sometimes you get trolled on social media and I know I shouldn't respond, but sometimes that aggressive part comes in and I end up responding and I know
And
I shouldn't,
yeah,
but
you
it
have to
happens.
really prevent yourself. You have to really, grit your teeth and not respond.
Absolutely. So I guess the day I stop reacting to it is the day, life will say, okay, Luke, you've learned that lesson. And I've not had a perfect life. I've had a great life. And I think all our mistakes make us who we are. And because I can relate to mistakes, I can relate to other people who have gone through what I have gone. So,
Right.
if I've been bad in my relations prior, in my relationships, I can understand someone who's going through the same thing because I've done there. I've either been the person to cause the pain or I've been the person to go through the pain. So I believe that everything that I've gone through, whether I've told lies, whether I've been angry, whatever it is I've done a lot of stuff. But I think I had to go through that journey in my life because today I can relate to other people who are going through it. They can relate to me because I relate. Our energies match. And then I'm able to bring about whatever recovery or whatever it is that I need to do with them because number one, we've connected. So I believe everything that I've gone through, I had to have gone through it to be in the position I am today. So zero regrets. Absolutely.
What is the story of your tattoos? How many do you have?
Well, I don't know. I've not counted, maybe 14 or 15. So,
40?
I mean, it was 14 to 15, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Why is that?
Yeah.
Why do you have those tattoos? Is it to remember moments or to
No, I'll be really honest. I mean, the time my dad said you can have a tattoo is only when, you're on your own 2 feet, you have your own job, and you're living out of our house. That's the only time you're independent and you can make an adult decision to get a tattoo. So the moment I moved out, I got a tattoo done. I guess it was more of a rebellion thing. And I was into the whole DJ culture, the hippie culture. So I grew up with that phase and I got tattoos done. And, that's about it. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
when you talk about people being able to connect to people because you've been there at some point, what are the biggest problems you face, come across, especially among young people? We're talking about, say, 18 to 25. That's a very delicate age, maybe 16 to 25, very delicate age. A lot of decisions are taken by young people, and sometimes they can just go terribly wrong. What are the things that you are finding?
See, I think a lot of youngsters are out there to prove themselves today because the world has made it look that everyone needs to make a mark at a particular
Right.
age. But honestly, I mean, I can't relate to that because till the age of 35, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just flowed with
Okay.
life. I went from hotels to corporates to call centers to insurance. I just flowed with life. And I had to have gone through that journey to be who I am today. And I
Right.
really think that people need to take it easy because I know so many people who have worn themselves out by 22 trying to make a mark from themselves and stuff like that. But my whole point is you don't have to do all of that to be successful. You can, but not at the compromise of your health and your mental and emotional health. There are so many people who have started their careers late in life. You know, I'm an example as well. It worked for me. You don't have to do what I did, but it worked for me. You can use me as an example. At 35, I had clarity of vision that this is what my life calling is. And between 35 and now, I've had more growth than I would ever have in 10 to 15 years, even if I started at 20.
Right.
So, everyone has a different life journey. And I think people need to take it easy and trust the process of life. It doesn't mean that you don't study, it doesn't mean that you don't do the things that you should. But I think we have to trust the process of life. It is always a guiding force that is guiding us. And if we're living with awareness and some amount of consciousness and we follow that guiding hand, it leads us to our life calling. But if we're following opinions of people and today someone's telling you to do this and tomorrow you realize that, oh, there's more money in being a hedge fund manager, let me become a hedge fund manager, we're just responding to things which are not real. They
Hmm.
can guide us, but everyone has a force that guides them to where they are. If I had to ask you the same question, like what's brought you your success, and you really reflect on it, you'll realize that there is an energy that's always guided you, and you may be conscious of it or unconscious of it. So I think people should trust the process of life, and we should stop. The generation wants to please everyone.
Right.
Stop trying to please people. It gets you nothing.
Right.
You should be so fulfilled that you don't have to validate yourself and you don't have to win pleasing people.
Right.
People are so dependent on who likes their posts, which party they got invited to, which,
Yeah.
that defines them.
Yeah.
Don't ever let that define you. I was always a rebel in that way. I never let these things define me. I didn't give a crap about parties, dressing, whatever it is, because that doesn't define me. What defines me is how I feel at the end of the day. And if I have to dress up to make someone happy, I don't want to be with that person. It's as simple as that. So I want people to have a mind of their own, to
Right.
realize that real growth at the end of the day, you should feel fulfilled. At the same time, you may like partying, you might like going out to people, do it. But if at the end of the day you feel empty and not fulfilled, that is your wrong path. If you feel fulfilled, go ahead. Maybe that's your path. You love socializing, you love parties, you like dressing up, but you should
Right.
feel fulfilled at the end of the day.
What about drug use, Luke? Are you seeing a lot more drug use than there was when you were younger?
See, drugs have always been there.
Right.
Okay. But today it is way more than before. And forget about the
Yeah.
teenagers. The same teenagers who are in it, you got to look at their parents' lives. A lot of their parents are also doing it. Today, it's become a very annoying kind of a thing, especially in cosmopolitan cities where young adults who are running companies, they have families, all of that stuff. They're taking to MDMA and acid and all of these things. You finish that phase of your life, but they're so unhappy themselves. They think they need a drug to complete them. It's starting from the top and it's leading down to teenagers. Teenagers know everything that the adults do. It's as simple as that. And of course, adults are using it because they're emotionally unstable. So
Right.
drug makes you feel better. That's why you do
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
then teenagers, see, teenagers want conformity. I mean, all of us. I experimented with almost every possible drug when I was a teenager, but my parents' upbringing was very, very clear. Experiment if you want, but never let it become your life. Period.
Right.
That was drilled into our heads.
Right.
No regrets. But the people who are weak get addicted to it. The people who use drugs to define themselves. So
Yeah.
if I'm like the cool kid on campus and everyone, suddenly I'm getting attention because
Yeah.
people say, hey, Luke, Luke's the guy. He'll give you the best drugs. My
Exactly.
inflate.
Yeah.
It becomes my identity. So I continue to do it. So a lot of teenagers today are defined by their usage of drugs, and that's where their lives get destroyed. But drugs are real, they exist, and it's only increasing day and day because people see, why do you need more drugs when you're not happy, when
Yeah.
you're filling a void, when you're doing all of these things? Some people, of course, they use drugs. Like, look at the hippies. They
Yeah.
used it to have a great time at a party, and that was it. That
Yeah.
was it. But today, people have made it a daily thing. That means they are now being controlled by the substance.
So, do you often have to advise, addicts as well? Do you deal with them?
Absolutely, we do, but only to a certain level. If I feel that the addiction has grown too strong, they
Yeah,
need to take professional counseling. A lot of them have to go into rehab. So then we put them onto the experts and the right teams.
right. So, Luke, if I were to ask you, what are the three biggest problems that we're facing currently as a society? What would you say they are? And, I know you don't have the solutions to everything, but what would you say are the solutions?
So the first problem in society today is unhappiness.
Right.
We may think it's not possible because there are only happy pictures of people at parties and on
Yeah.
Facebook, but believe me, that is a depressingly fake world. The unhappiness every second, I mean, when I look at all my data, most people are first sick because they're unhappy, lonely, and they have no love and appreciation in their life.
Right.
That's the first problem we have. Second is the abuse of lifestyle,
Right.
the abuse of sleep. I can't tell you how many patients just start feeling better the moment they start correcting their sleep cycle. So, yes, sleep. And three is the overconsumption of junk food, the overconsumption of restaurant food, the overconsumption of sugar. These are the three biggest problems we have right now.
And what would you advise?
Like I said, unhappiness can only be sorted by the person themselves. They got to start making the right decisions. They have to start facing their feelings head on. No one likes to face their own feelings and their own emptiness because everyone likes, like I said, wants to feel good all the time and they want to think that nothing's wrong with them. Two, for
Right.
sleep, pure discipline. Three, junk food, pure discipline again. So if you ask me, in a crux, the prescription is self discipline and
Right.
consistency. You can
Right.
achieve any goal in life if you are able to add self discipline and you are able to add consistency. So, for unhappy people, for 10 days, if they start to meditate, reevaluate their life, see which of their own society, parts of society make them feel whatever, and they do this exercise consistently, they'll feel better. They'll make it a lifestyle and they'll make it a habit. The same thing with junk food. Have it once in a way, have it once a week, twice a week. But what about the other days? You've got to be disciplined to give your body what it needs. And when it comes to sleep, like I said, the most successful people, the most busy people, they can still watch TV and Netflix and they can still get a good night of sleep. It comes down to organizing and planning their time.
And I love the way that you don't call it a cheat meal. You call it a treat. You
I
say
call it a
don't
reward meal.
a reward.
Reward. Yeah,
That
because cheat is a negative word. The moment
yeah,
we cheat, we feel guilty, right?
yeah,
Why do you
right,
need guilt? So we should reward ourselves. I will eat this chocolate cake because I deserve it. I
right.
deserve it. And my body will handle it the right way. And I worked out and I've eaten well. So it's a reward. It's not cheat. It's not a cheat meal.
I'm going to tell my son that because he keeps talking to me about cheat meals. And the other thing, Luke, I wanted to ask you about intermittent fasting. It's one of those things that you hear a lot about currently. It's, I think, one of those keto diet kind of fads. But it's important, is it?
So intermittent fasting is not a fad at all. It is a way of
It's a
living.
way
People
of
have made it
living.
into a fad.
Yeah,
Everyone's put themselves into a 16/8 and everyone's, oh, I'm a 16/8. And I
yeah,
ask them, why not 15? Why not 17? And they have no answer. So, people love that they make things fads because they
yeah,
feel important. It gives them some amount of attention. Fasting is needed for the human body and everyone's done it. Go
yeah,
back into the olden days. We finished dinner at sunset and we
yeah.
ate only after sunrise. So we anyway fasted for 12 to 13
For
hours.
12 to
So there's
13 hours.
nothing new.
Yeah,
It is therapeutic for the human body. It's just that people have made it a fad. To make it
right,
simple, people are fasting but having 3 to 4 cups of coffee. That's not
yeah,
fasting. Don't do it. You're ruining your system.
right.
So people just make anything into a fad. But if you have your early dinners, you wake up, say your prayers, finish your morning rituals, you've already got a good 12 to 14 hours of fasting. That is more than enough for most people.
Luke, do people ask you what exact time should I have dinner? Tell me, should I have it at 6, 6:30, 7? What do you tell them?
I just tell them to have it as early as possible and as close to sunset as possible. That's
And
it.
then not eat for 10 to 12 hours. Obviously.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't need to. When you start eating earlier dinners and your body gets into a cycle within 3 to 4 days, you will not feel like eating late meals anymore at all.
So, Luke, your prescription for a good life in just one line, because ultimately we're all looking for a good life.
It's honestly just keep it simple. If you give me
Yeah.
one line only, it's keep it simple. Life is simple. At the end of the day, when you sit down and strip off
Yeah.
everything, it
Absolutely.
comes down to simplicity. You can have $1 billion, $1 million, but whether you're on a yacht or you're just sitting on a beach on a beautiful island, it is the same experience. It's how you make out of it. You feel. It's how you feel at the end of the day. I mean, it's all great. I do want to make a lot of money. I do want certain abundance in my life because I have certain dreams.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to reach a point where it controls me and it defines what happiness is. It's as simple as that. You can enjoy a sunset from the Maldives. You can enjoy a sunset from a beautiful beach in Goa. It's still the same sun. It's still the same sunset. You're still the same person, right? I would say just live life simply.
Right. And Luke, what is your future? What's the next thing that you want to do with your work or your life?
I think I'm doing everything that I am supposed to be doing right now. One is the food system in India, the food chain in India,
Right.
and I think my
So
life
you're
calling
working with
is
the farmers.
absolutely. Then my priority is my patients, everyone who comes to me. They're my priority, and of course, educating people through social media, which I do every single day. This is my life calling, and I don't see I need to do everything different right now. It keeps me motivated. I'm passionate about it. I feel good at the end of the day. So there's nothing really. I'm living my dream right now. So there's nothing that I need to change.
Except don't hit the Twitter button when somebody trolls you.
No,
Stop.
but I'll be
Stop
honest
right
with
there.
you. I don't think I'm going to learn that lesson soon because you know what? Sometimes you got to give it back and it just makes you feel happy. It just makes you feel happy. I mean, you get such stupid people. And sometimes, I feel bad if I've not given back to them. I feel bad. So sometimes I'm going to defy those rules and give back, because I'm not here to build an audience on social media. I'm here for the right audience. I think if I was an influencer, I would have followed the social media etiquette. Like,
Right.
don't do this, don't do that. But I'm very clear. I'm not here for numbers. I'm here for people to learn. So the wrong people don't have to be there. So once in a way, I like to give it back because, you have that witty, that sarcastic
Yeah.
answer and you want to just give it out, it's like that. So I think I will do that a couple of times until life, really matures me not to do that anymore.
So that's your sugar rush.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you so much, Luke, for being so honest and being so wonderful and giving us so much advice. And I hope we can use it well as well. Thank
Thank
you
you so
very much.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time. Thank
All
you.
the best.